Good morning. This is going to be part 4 of the introduction to my Bernina B325, and today I'm just going to go over some of the feet attachments and stitches. Looks like I still have my foot off from yesterday, so I'm going to turn my machine on and I'll show how to do this now. So this is foot number 1. It actually is stamped on the foot plate now. And it has this bar here, and the bar just is gripped by this mechanism on the shank. It kind of is like a little Lego guy hand, and it clamps down on that bar, and there's a little release on the back side. It's a little red button or tab, if you will. To put it on, I'm just going to, I don't know how to lower this. I'm going to lower this down. Apparently it's early. Okay. And since I just turned my machine on, it is on straight stitch number 1. So I will show you how I engage that. I'm just going to lower the feet presser foot, and I'm going to hold my thread tails. I think this is an old habit that dies hard, but I really still think that it's a good habit to be in if you're switching machines ever, you know, moms or grandmas or whatever. So steady. It's not very different. My needle down. I am actually using my daughter's presser or foot pedal. I'll show you it. It has, I think I looked for this in the accessory catalog and it was not there. And so I thought I wanted to see how much it was, but it's obviously a replacement part then, not an accessory. But this has this feature, needle up, needle down. This part of the presser foot pedal lowers or raises the needle. It just is a half of a stitch. So wherever it's at, it's going to go the opposite. It's up right now. If I press it, it goes down. And press it, it goes up. So it automatically will raise it up if you have your foot in the needle down position. And then the back of the foot, which the other pedal does, it'll take one stitch, one stitch, one stitch. So maybe you're inching along. So I'm gonna use this one because I'm really used to that half a stitch. So when I go to use the needle down button, it will always stop down, which is awesome. So say I'm trying to follow a pattern for quilting, or maybe I'm stitching around at the edge of something and I need to be able to rotate my fabric. I can just sink that needle, rotate my fabric. I never have to touch, ever have to touch this. With that pedal that this sewing machine came with, I have to crank this up to get my needle into the up position because there's no other way to do it. It's kind of frustrating because I'm used to having it. It's kind of a silly little frustration, but it's there. So what else are we going to cover? The single unit, single stitch length or whatever. So I have all of these different stitches available on this machine, which I actually did not know about until I opened up my package yesterday. So if I wanted to say do one scallop or one snowflake, I would put it on this single stitch button. So what's going to happen is it's going to start the stitch. So say it is the scallop, it's going to start the stitch, it's going to start sewing. I can even have my foot pedal down, compressed, and it will stop when it's at the end of that stitch. I'm going to demonstrate that. So the scallop is stitch number 29. I just want to make sure you guys can see really good. To select the stitch, I'm going to go number 29, and it reflects it right here. And then I'm going to have my pedal up here, just so you guys can see that I am doing that in fact. I'm going to press this button for 1 unit of the stitch, and I'm going to start stitching. It's going to be right on this little round square. And I'm going to hold this down until it's done. You guys can't really see both at the same time, that's fine. I'm still holding it down. I haven't changed this. I'm going to release it. It stopped because it was done. I'm going to use my front of my foot pedal to raise my needle and pull that out. You guys can see it. So 1 unit of it, which seems kind of silly, but when you start programming, like say I want, here we go. Say I want to do like 3 snowflakes and then my daughter's name, Chloe, and then I want to do 3 snowflakes, I can program that in. Or maybe I want to do a couple zigzags up into those snowflakes. I can program those into the snowflakes, and I should be able to program about 30 characters or 30 stitch lengths into this. I didn't actually look that up. That was what my old machine can do. So I'm kind of guessing there, but it might be something shorter, like 10. I hope they'd give you a few since you're working with an entire alphabet. What else do we want to go over today? Let's go over stitch width. So simple to adjust the stitch width. If I go back to stitch number 1 and now say I'm sewing. Oops, I'm still on single stitch. That's annoying. I'm sewing. I finished my project. And now I got to do some edge stitching with some zigzag. I'm going to put it on stitch 2 and I go, you know, I really want a wide zigzag. I'm going to widen that. I think I'll go up to a 5 because I know that's going to be almost the full width. And now I'm in a zigzag. Raise my needle up, cut my thread, and so I widened that. Another stitch I want to show you is actually stitch number 5. This one is really kind of cool, actually. I use this a lot if I'm doing a lot of small pieces that I need to backstitch on. So this one automatically backstitches in the beginning, and then when you are done with your stitch, it will backstitch at the end. So let's do that right now. It's going to start stitching. It's going to take a few stitches, backstitch those few that it already did, and then it's going to go straight until I tell it to turn around. Right over my scallop, and then I'm coming to the end. I'm going to press my button to backstitch. It's going to automatically backstitch. It's going to stop when it gets to the end of where I told it to turn around. And you can see that here. I got a little nice backstitch, nice straight stitch, and then a backstitch again automatically. It is one that if you're not used to it, you might forget, and then your backstitch is a little bit out of order until you get the hang of it. That's okay. I am going to also show you how to use, I already showed you how to put the presser foot on, but when you take it off, you're going to press this, it's like a little red button in the back. And so I'm going to press that, drop that presser foot plate, and I'm going to put on, this is the edge stitcher, so as whatever I'm sewing, I can top stitch right next to something, and I'm going to use this. This is awesome around, like, say, like a blouse, like the whole collar, front edge, or maybe around if you're top stitching a pocket, or maybe decorative, maybe on like a pair of jeans, you're just doing some top stitching. So I'll just sew it as a edge stitch here. Right now, I'm going to take this and zoom in. So right now it's my needle is right here, and my let me see if I can get something pointy. My edge stitching guide is this guide here, and it kind of bumps out right around the presser foot. I don't know if you can see that. It's not very clear. It's annoying. There we go. So it bumps out right around that needle. So I actually could stitch that close to the edge. I do not want to stitch that close to the edge. So I am going to use my needle adjuster, and I'm just going to bump that position over. Let me zoom out so you can see where, right now it's in center, so I'm going to bump it over 2 times. That's going to give me a really fine top stitch. And I'm just going to start sewing. So now my needle moved over and it's right there on the edge. And you can see my fabric is being guided by that foot pedal. I didn't hold my threads. I can kind of feel it jamming a little bit. It feels like maybe it just caught up for a second. So I know some new machines do have like a some sort of a mechanism in place so that they do not get their threads caught up and tangled underneath. This one obviously does not have that feature, and my old Bernina didn't either. I mean, it really did catch and tangle if there was an issue. So I will use my foot pedal to bring that thread up. I'll pull it out of the machine, and you can see it's just a really nice, it's better than the like top stitch, and then yes, my little tangle where my threads got pulled underneath. So I could clean that up by just clipping them, and then I could have a nice clean edge. If I did make a mistake on my actual project, that would not be a big deal. Anyway, hopefully this is all helpful, and it will help you understand your new Bernina machine.